What up, YouTube? Knowledge is self-determination. I know it's been a while since I posted anything, but priorities and such. But I do have some audio files that I have been recording. I just haven't sat down and actually, make videos out of them. But today what I want to talk about is staying on code. We hear a lot of black people use that term, throw that out there, staying on code, staying on code, staying on code. Well, today I'm going to do my best to explain what staying on code means. And I'm going to start with this example. Like, for instance, two white people can hate each other's guts. Hate each other's guts. Have completely different thoughts, different perceptions of reality, different ideals, different goals in life, can hate each other's guts. But when it comes to agreeing on a common enemy, black people, no problem. Think about it for a second. After the 13th Amendment, Reconstruction, after all of that happened, Jim Crow came immediately after all of that. After all of this good that was supposed to affect black people and help us bounce back. We get Jim Crow right after that. Now, you tell me. Oh, and also, during that time, I believe, now this is not an exact quote, but the information is in my history of the police, or rather, man, I can't even remember the name of my own video. But my video is talking about the history of the police and their relationship with black people. And I believe that's the actual title of the video. But anyway, where I put some detail into, when the Ku Klux Klan had reemerged, because they existed, during the 19th century. They had, were pretty much disbanded, and then they reemerged in the 20th century around the same time that movie, The Original Birth of a Nation, came out. And by the time they had went public and reemerged, they had millions of followers all across the nation. Millions. Now, we know that systemic racism is taught. It is taught. Children are bred and raised to be bigots, white supremacists. They're taught that stuff. So take I think between 2 to 5 million people in the early 1900s, 1921, or I can't remember the exact year. Now, look at how many generations later it is. The grandchildren of some of those people, and children possibly of some of those people, some of them are still alive right now. If you got a grandparent or great-grandparent who's in their 80s or 90s, yeah, they were born in that era. The 1930s, 1940s. Yeah. And they raised children with those same mindsets. So to believe that racism doesn't exist is ridiculous. Now, to the example, two white people can hate each other's guts. Hate each other's guts. Like like for instance, like a Catholic white person might hate a Protestant, because that's going on in Ireland right now. Well, it's always been going on for a long time, right? Catholics hate Protestants, Methodists or whatever, right? Even though they're more than likely black anyway. But Protestants and Catholics, right? Or apostolic or something, right? Now, them hating each other, and that's why I brought up Jim Crow. They hate each other, They may have even fought against slavery. But when it came to us being equal to them, that's when they put their foot down. They didn't know who we were then. See, the two white people that hated each other, the Catholic and the apostolic, hated each other because of their different views of the same fucking religion. For the most part, of the same belief system, a belief that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, so on and so forth. Now, that black people are quote unquote free because slavery was never abolished, don't ever believe that the 13th Amendment abolishes slavery. If you believe that, you really need to take another look at it, because it only changes the way a person can be enslaved. It only changes the terms of enslavement. It doesn't change or abolish the act of enslaving a person. Really look into that. So anyway, Jim Crow comes up. White people aren't fighting against Jim Crow. Well, they won't be slaves, but We'll have these unwritten laws, and in fact, they actually put certain shit into law, like drinking out of certain water fountains, using certain restrooms, being in a certain place at a certain time. You could go to jail for drinking out of a white water fountain in public. You could go to jail for being out after a certain time. So they actually did make some of the most heinous and horrendous shit laws. And some things just weren't laws. Like, you just don't hire black people. You know what I'm saying? You just don't let them rent rooms in your hotel. You just don't do it, right? White people had no problem with that. How many white people were actually fighting against Jim Crow and white supremacy? I asked white people this question. I've gotten into it with dudes online in the comment sections of my other videos. And I've asked them, do you acknowledge white supremacy exists? And in doing so, do you acknowledge that white people have benefited from white privilege because of that white supremacy that they force onto other people? They never answer the question. They want to debate me about me being racist when all I'm doing is talking to my people about coming together and defending and protecting each other. I'm racist for that. But when I ask them a direct question, 2 questions about white supremacy and its privilege, all of a sudden, they want to circumnavigate that question and bring up other shit. So anyway, staying on code. I know I said a lot to get to this. But again, those 2 white people, staying on code for them is agreeing that white supremacy is what's going to be our main tool in keeping these Negroes in line. The 2 Protestants may hate each other. The Protestant and the Catholic may hate each other. The Catholic may want black people to be free of slavery. The Protestant may not want the black people to be free of slavery. But they can both agree on Jim Crow. They're not slaves, but they're not really free either. That's fine. That's okay. As long as we can subject them to our will, it's fine. See, that's them staying on code. Black people staying on code. That's what we need to do. In spite of our many differences, theological differences, ideological differences, economic differences, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it may be, a lawyer versus somebody flipping burgers or whatever our differences are, those differences should not be enough for us to not want to stay on code. Those differences should not be enough to make us turn our back on our brothers or our sisters. Staying on code means, like a dude like Stephen A. Smith takes his platform and calls out white motherfuckers who do fucked up shit in sports, But at the same time, promotes black unity. Why not? Use that platform for some good. That's what staying on code means. Staying on code. I am not a I am not a Christian. I am not a Muslim. I'm not going to talk about what I am or what I am not. You know what I'm saying? Because it's completely inconsequential and irrelevant for this conversation. In fact, it actually isn't, because I don't believe what most of you probably believe in. And you know what? That doesn't make me any less black than you. I don't give a fuck what you believe, to be perfectly honest. I could care less. Because at the end of the day, what you believe ain't gonna make shit happen for our people. We all gotta unite and get out that motherfucker and make it happen. That's what staying on code is. In spite of our many differences, coming together for the proliferation of our people, for the betterment of our people, should be our main goal. That's all of our responsibility. And every black man in every community, it is your responsibility to be a role model for the children in your community. But that's what staying on code means. Staying on code means that you can be a Muslim, you can be a Baptist or a Methodist. You know what I'm saying? You can be a Hindu, you can be a black Buddhist, or whatever you are, whatever you believe in. But at the end of the day, the protection of our women, our children, and ourselves, our communities, the proliferation of our race, and the bettering of our economic and financial status worldwide, so that we don't have to struggle as a whole, that should be our main objective, so that we can build wealth too, so that we can be a nation of our own. You understand? And have some say so in the global economy, more so than what we believe we have right now. That should be our main goal. That's what staying on code is. You know, if I'm a truck driver and, you know what I'm saying, you cut grass for the city, we should still be able to come together without any of that petty shit getting in the way and do what's best for our people. We don't even have to talk about the things that make us different. I'm a Muslim. You're a Catholic. We don't have to talk about Allah and Jesus. We don't have to have that discussion, because the betterment of our people is what's important. That discussion doesn't even have to ever come up, because it doesn't mean anything when it comes to us uniting and fighting against a common enemy. Teaching our children about their history so that they can be well prepared. Because people that know and understand their history and have pride in their history are fucking unstoppable. Look at what we do without knowing about our history and who we really are. Now take that, now galvanize that with the knowledge of who you are, the knowledge of self. No pun intended. You know what I'm saying? And look at how much better we'll be. Think about it. When we were that, we ruled the world. You know what I'm saying? When we were there, we ruled the world. People from all over the world came back to Africa to learn from our ancestors, man. Realizing that they were a branch of our ancestry also. We can get back to that, man. But we gotta stay on code. That's what staying on code means, man. Working towards one common goal, which is our people getting back to prominence, going back to what we were and what we still are, the gods of the earth. Real talk. It's time we get back to that, man. It's time we get back to that, and we can do it. But we gotta stay on code. Staying on code is what's key. That is what's going to allow us to get back to prominence. That's what other races do, man. Regardless of their differences, they handle their differences in-house. And regardless of them, they don't let anything or any individual or group come in between what they want to accomplish for their people. Come hell or high water, they're going to maintain their unity within themselves. And black people, that's what we need to do.